Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming back to another broadcast over here at the Dallas Network. Now, really quick, guys, it is the morning of September 11th, 2018. 17 years after the World Trade Centers. I'm making this video because this is pretty much our first time making a video about this. And I'm not going to spin no conspiracy on this. I'm not going to, oh, it was the government, or oh, it was terrorists. I'm not here to talk about that. I'm here to just simply remember that day. A lot of kids nowadays are going into schools that weren't even born, and learning about this stuff in the history book. So I can only imagine, especially in this day and age and the education system, I'm really wondering about how spun these kids are being taught about this. But anyways, I'm not here to lecture anyone. I want to know from you guys where you guys was when you found out about the World Trade Centers. I know I've seen a lot of answers. A lot of people was at school. I mean, you got to think happened in 2001. I was born in 85, so I was like 16 years old, and I was playing hooky from school. I remember that morning my mom trying to wake me up to get me to go to school, and I fought her tooth and nail. And guys, I didn't like school. Okay, I didn't do good in school. I was a typical boy, dude. I was too busy getting high, smoking weed, and skateboarding. Skateboarding was my life, guys. I ate, bro. I lived on a fucking skateboard growing up. And you can ask any of my close friends. That's just what we did. But I remember that morning. I mean, just as if it was yesterday. And here's a reason why. I woke up that morning to my mom saying there's a disaster that happened at the World Trade Center. Now, guys, I was so naive, I didn't know what the World Trade Center was. Okay. So I come downstairs, and we had one of those big 60-inch DLP projection screens, And I remember sitting there in the living room, just waking up, waiting for my mom to go to the bathroom so I can sneak a cigarette. Yeah, I was a rebel. But, anyways, I remember seeing the first Trade Center, the first tower, and it was smoking. And, every couple minutes they would show a replay of the airplane, and I was just in disbelief. I was like, how does accidents like this happen? And for some reason I was just hooked at that moment. I did not get up off my chair. And I remember hearing all the chatter. I remember seeing, the first responders at the ground. I remember seeing people running. I remember, people talking about a plane just hit the Trade Center, and you see all the smoke barreling out, and you see people hanging out the windows. And it was at that moment where even, my naive ass self, 16 years old, was just like, this is insane. Like, wow. Sitting there watching. My mom, she walked off into the kitchen to do something, and that's when the second plane struck the second tower. And at that moment, I witnessed that live. As soon as it was on air, you see the airplane in the background, and people was just sitting there talking, and you watch it getting closer and closer, and then I seen it. I said, oh no. And bam, right there it went into the second Trade Center. I seriously think it was at that exact moment, something woke up inside of me. See, guys, like I said, when I was 16 years old, when I was a kid, I mean, it's a job of a kid, I guess. We didn't pay too much attention to what was going on in the political world or, other nations, terrorism. We was being kids. We didn't worry about that stuff. And it was at that exact moment something changed in me. I was angry. I was sad. A lot of these emotions just came over me. And I remember I sat there and watched it, man. And you just watching these people hanging out the windows. You see papers flying everywhere. And you're just sitting there thinking, like, you're helpless. You're helpless. I mean, I would like to think the American thing to do would be, if you ever seen anyone in danger like that, you'd run to help them. I mean, that's just the way I was raised. You help the less unfortunate. And I remember sitting in my TV, and I would just look out my window that was facing off to the east, you know, like I was looking out towards New York, and I just remember sitting out there just shaking my head while I'm watching this. And then something horrifying started happening. People started jumping out of the buildings. This was all live on TV, guys. This is, you know, for the ones of you guys, the younger cats, if you guys are watching this video, I don't know what they're going to be telling you guys in school. You know, this is an image that if you watched it, you can't get it out of your mind. I mean, and I'm not saying that this was just because it's an American thing. This is a human thing. I mean, like, other human beings are losing their lives, and it's ridiculous. I mean, you guys see how big the Trade Center used to be, how tall the towers used to be. And I remember watching cameras, you know, down on the ground level on the streets. And you would just see debris, you know, trash, paper everywhere. People crying, dude. I mean, and here's the thing, guys. For all you young cats that's in the school systems and you're watching on the news, did you know back then, that was the last time, that was the first time and the last time I seen United States unify. And I'm not talking about, you know, the American spirit. I'm talking about whites were crying in the hands of black people. You know, black people was helping out Latinos, you know, for one day. Actually, it was a couple days afterwards. You know, I seen a unity in this country regardless of race, you know, political standings, you know, orientation. You know, where we put all that differences off to the side and we helped each other because we was human beings. I wish that we had a lot of that left in this world today, here in 2018. You know, and I just remember watching it, and then the building started to collapse. Holy shit. You want to talk about the emotions that went through someone's body? Like I said, guys, I was 16 years old. I didn't know what to make of this. I didn't pay attention to this stuff. But it was at that moment, you know, something inside me had changed. You know, I really started to understand that, you know, I grew up, guys, I thought, you know, the wars, again, the education that I had, you know, we had, you know, the wars, you know, and we prevailed past that. Same as segregation, you know, Martin Luther King came out in the scene and marched for civil rights for equal for the black community. And we accepted that. And that's why I really, really hate what I see going on in today's day and age with the whole racial thing. You know, basically, you guys are erasing everything that Rosa Parks, Malcolm King, Malcolm X, and Martin Luther King did back in the 60s for segregation. So, you know, the whole history that I was raised in, you know, is really being flipped upside down. And it was that day, guys, where I really believed all that shit was gone. You know, but maybe not so much. I mean, now that we're living here. But I want you guys to drop in the comments. Let me know where you guys was when you've watched. I'm pretty sure you watched. If you're an American, that seriously is the day that the world stood still for all of us. Whether or not you was in school, you was at work, you was at home, you stopped whatever you was doing. Whatever you was doing at that time became irrelevant. And we stopped for a moment, and that was the first and only time I remember seeing the Americans unite, unlike any other. So again, guys, drop a comment in the section. Like this video, share the video, guys. This is September 11th. We'll never forget. I'll never forget. I'm pretty sure you'll never forget. Hence, that's why you're watching this video. Now, you know, like I said, there's a left and a right to this story. You know, there's conspiracy theories, there's truth to the stories. And here's the thing, we're never going to know. I seriously don't think we're ever going to know. Whether or not you're going to sit there and think that this was a controlled job by our government, explosives in the basement, and even if you want to go so fucking far out there to believe that, oh, those airplanes were CGI. I mean, come on, guys, that's common fucking sense. Not that they were CGI, that they weren't. Alright, now I'm not saying that, you know, maybe our government had, you know, hands in the involvement of the collapse of the towers, but you know what? I'm not here for that. I'm not here to talk about conspiracy theories or facts. You want one fact on this thing? Over 3,000 Americans have lost their lives that day. We witnessed a lot of them, well, most of them losing their lives that day. Whether or not they were jumping out the buildings, or we watched them collapse with the Twin Towers. It was a sad day in American history, and never, 17 years later, we still remember that like it was yesterday. Alright, guys. I'll see you guys later.